Welcome to Grant's Rock Warehouse, and tonight we are looking at the band Supershine. This is a supergroup featuring Dug Pinnick from King's X and Bruce Franklin from Trouble. It's the One and Done series. We are live. Let's do it.
Grant is changing the world one track at a time on Grant's Rock Warehouse.
Hey, welcome to Grant's Rock Warehouse, and we are live. Beautiful, wonderful panel, and I must apologize before I get going. I already did a show on the Contrarians before this. I could barely talk. For some reason, I am off my game. So bear with me. I'll get through it. I always perform live the best. Anyway, I want to welcome the panel. BM Bolt, DC Tune Time, Nick Esquire, and we're here to talk about Supershine. Now, if you don't know about this band, this was a supergroup. Dug Pinnick from King's X and Bruce Franklin from the band Trouble. Along with Trouble drummer Jeff Olson, King's X drummer Jerry Gaskill, and some members of the band Galactic Cowboys as guests. So it's a bit of a super group, it's a bit of a mishmash. We're going to talk about this record. I remember, gosh, this episode was in the plans for months, and it really came about from Nick Esquire, and I'm going to turn it over to him. Nick, you brought this to the panel originally. We should do Supershine. And what was it about this record you thought that we should probably hit on this?
Oh, well, it's an album that no one seems to know about. And when I discovered it years and years ago, and I maybe was about a year late after it came out, I just couldn't believe how good it was, myself being a King's X fan and somewhat fan of Trouble. And so it's just one of those albums that it didn't leave my vehicle for years and years. It was always in rotation, and it's one of those albums that's probably in the top 3 or 4 albums I've listened to in the last 25 years. Wow. And no one seems to know it.
Crap. Yeah. Well, they only put out the one record.
That's it.
It's a one and done. And the whole premise for this show is to see if these are records that you probably should check out. My whole channel, talking bands no one's talking about, and no one's talking Supershine, except tonight in the warehouse. So I want to welcome everybody who's watching. We only have like 10 people. I don't know how many people know this band. Maybe you do, maybe you don't, but we're just gonna, I don't know. Let's see.
Well, there's some hardcore King's X fans out there, so just maybe they haven't gotten the word.
Yeah, Christian Haynes has the CD. Jason, nice to see you. Of course, Christian's here. Gary Wilkerson Jr. Thanks, Gary. Nice to see you. Kathy Moore's making an appearance. She likes it. She's calling us boys.
Well, that's okay.
Jason, awesome album. Only found out about this a couple years ago. Both bands are great. So for those who do know this album and know what we do on this series, we're going to go around and give our rating much like a Contrarian's Dark Horse album. So we're going to rate the album out of 10, what we like, what we don't like about it, and see if we can, recommend it to anybody. So when we get to the point where I'm going to ask everybody in the peanut gallery, please give your rating. We want to include it in our rating because we're all in this together. So I'm just going to turn it back over to Nick, and he can just talk about the record some more and what he likes, what he doesn't like, and his rating out of 10. All right.
Okay.
Nick, take it away.
Thanks, Grant. And I'll give a little history. I'm a King's X fan from way back in the first album. Got to see them on their with the Gretchen Grows to Nebraska tour. They opened for Billy Squire. Matter of fact, I'm such an old fan. I have a hat, King's X hat. It's so old. It has like one of these like Arnold Palmer, Jack Nicklaus braids that goes across, and it fits me like it looks like a chef's hat. It's so big. So like,
look at that.
But anyway, so I'm a fan from way back. But in around, I'm going to say 2001 at some point, I received in the mail unsolicited a package and I opened it up, and it was a burned CD with the Sharpie stuff all over it saying Supershine, and a note from a good friend of mine from college saying, Dug Pinnick from King's X and some guy from Trouble, blah, blah, blah. I think you'll like it. All right, whatever. Popped it in the CD player, I think in my car, and I was immediately blown away. I just could not believe what I was hearing. And I felt that it was the perfect mashup between King's X and the things I like best about King's X and the things I like best about Trouble. So you got Dug Pinnick singing, phenomenal voice, one of the best. Bruce Franklin's guitar, that really doomy kind of guitar sound. I just love that album from the beginning. No one seemed to know about it. It stayed in my vehicle for years and years in rotation. Finally found it in a store, a used copy on CD, the Metal Blade version years ago. So now I have that. But just have loved the album. Why do I like it? I like the album because it's just every song. The tracking, the songs go together. They're cohesive. They're heavy. There's a great bottom end if you like bass, like I do. It was mixed and mastered by Ty Tabor from King's X. So besides Jerry Gaskell playing on a track or two, Ty Tabor has his hand in the thing. So it's great. But I just think for me, it would be like a top 5, top 3 King's X album and a top 5, top 3 Trouble album at the same time. So it's so kind of cool. I want to tell you this quick story, but I don't know if you guys remember, like way back when like Buffalo roamed the plains years and years ago, when like the Conestoga wagons were heading west, like a long time ago. There was this thing called MySpace, and so in that ancient time on MySpace, I was on it as a young lad with my coonskin cap. And I found the MySpace page for Bruce Franklin. And I said, hey, yeah, the Supershine album is really good. This was around maybe 08, 09. And he actually replied. He's like, oh, thanks. Love that album, blah, blah, blah. And he expressed words to the effect that he wanted to do another one with Doug. And he had ideas and material, and he liked to do it. And I don't know if it was just Bruce himself or Bruce and Doug, but even though it was about 8 years, maybe even 9 years after the album was released, to just see that in print, I was all fired up. Of course, alas, that's never happened. But I know that at least with Mr. Franklin, he loves this album and thinks of it fondly. So even though it's a small, dedicated group of people that know about it, it's still well loved, at least by the people who made it. I think this is one of the best one and done albums I've ever heard. I don't know. And thinking about this today, I think Grant would want us to rate this. I'm torn, but I'm very stingy. I've been on other shows when I hand out 10s. I've got my own sort of personal thing. The album's got to be at least like 10 years old. I've got to live with it for a long period of time. I just don't rank albums that are 10s right out of the box. And 10s for me are something like Highway to Hell, Back in Black, Desolation Boulevard, that kind of stuff. There's not many 10s in my collection. Lights Out, maybe one or two other UFO albums, but I'm really if you're going to ask me right now, I'm going to say, all right, this album's a 10. It's so cohesive, goes right through. 3 standout tracks, although they're all great. The lead track, Take Me Away, it's such a heavy mashup of King's X and Trouble. Like Grant, I love Grand Funk, and so as a Grand Funk fan like Grant, I love their cover of Shining On. That song for me, but that comes on in the car, and I really got to be careful because I just want to mash the gas pedal down and go. And so that one really stands out. I think they do. That one might even beat the original one as a cover. And there's a song towards the end called Going Down, real heavy, doomy guitar and vocal. And those 3 really stand out for me. But for me, there's not a bad one in the bunch. There's technically 12 tracks, one little intro, so it's 11. They're all solid. They're all great. And that's sort of my 2 cents. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say.
All right, so I can write that 10 down.
Go ahead.
All right, 10. We've got a 10. Oh boy, this is going to be fun. All right, let's throw it over to Mr. BM Bolt. You're up.
All right. Yeah. So I had never heard of this album until 2 years ago. We were doing Grant. You were doing this obscure albums episode, and Nick was on it, and he brought this up, and I was like, wow.
Yes, it's taken us 2 years to come around to do it.
It's like, wow, there's a Dug Pinnick project. And I was like, well, I've heard The Mob, which is another one and done, which is pretty good. I think Red Beach is on that, and Kelly Key, maybe, a couple other people. Pound Hound is another thing he did, and there's a bunch of other King's X related stuff with Ty Tabor and whatnot. But so I thought, let me check this out. And I was like, wow. How did I not hear about this before? And, it's heavy, but at the same time, it's got this groove to it. I don't know if that's Doug bringing in. I'll be honest with you. I've never listened to Trouble, and I need to check them out.
I've never listened to Trouble either. I hate to say that.
Not me either.
Yeah, so
They're great. There's a sweet spot for Trouble I like. I'm not so much a fan of their earlier albums, but boy, they have some really good albums. I know Joe Beck, our contrarian friend, is a huge Trouble fan, but they've got some really killer albums in there. They've got some interesting vocal guys. Their original guy, Mr. Wagner, really good vocalist, and then they have had some changes. But it's a band. If you like any type of Sabbathy doom stuff, you're gonna like it. You're really gonna like it. They made an album with Rick Rubin. That's how he was on the radar.
Cool. All right, go ahead, Byron.
yeah, but so I've been a King's X fan since the second album, and saw them a couple times live. So I've always been a big fan of theirs, and Doug's got a great voice, and there's just when I listen to this, I hear that doom sound, but I'm sure the Trouble stuff's probably a little heavier in general than this, but you can hear the doom in here. It's got that Master of Reality Sabbath sound to it, in my opinion, from that period.
It's accessible doom.
Yeah,
Very accessible.
exactly. With Doug singing, and a lot of the songs, I'm not saying all, but a lot of the songs, they kind of have this formula where you've got the drums and the bass playing during the verse, and then the guitar will that's like the call, and then the guitar will come in with like a response to that, and it works out really well. I like the way they do that. All right, so let me talk about a few of the tracks here. Yeah, the first track, Take Me Away. I really like that. To me, it sounds like a cross between Moby Dick and Rat Bat Blue at times.
Exactly what I've got on my notes here. I said, riff sounds a bit like Deep Purple's Rat Bat Blue. And when I listen to this album, about 4 or 5 times when I heard the main riff, I'm thinking, what the hell does that riff remind me of? So, yeah, that's funny. I got Rat Bat Blue, too, on that first
It's
one.
also Moby Dick.
Yeah.
It's close to Moby Dick as well. But, and the chorus on there is real heavy, but it's very melodic as well. And then there's like this double time that kicks in during the guitar solo, which I kind of liked. Second song, Kingdom Come. It's got this great riff, and it swings though. Mm-hmm. It's like Sabbath, but it's got swing to it. Mm-hmm. It's hard to describe. You got to hear this album, people, to really see what I'm trying to explain. Here again, it's got that drum and bass in the verse, kind of driving the verse, and then the guitar jumps in usually toward the end of the verse or to respond. And I really like that track. One Night was the next track. I really thought that was good. That one to me sounds like a very heavy King's X track. Probably, it's just crunchier on the guitars, but it could have been a good King's X track. And I Can't Help You. Okay, that's got a real doomy riff, what I wrote down here. But the verses are real psychedelic.
Real Sabbathy.
I thought the chorus was real catchy and reminded me of King's X. Like you mentioned, Nick, Shining On. I was like, okay, I have the Shining On album, but I've only had it for about a year, so I wasn't that familiar with it. But the song starts playing, I'm thinking, Shining On. Is that Grand Funk? So I looked it up.
Surely that cannot be. Surely that cannot be.
They're not playing Grand Funk.
It was Grand Funk.
What?
And I was like, okay. Yeah, then I thought, maybe that does sound familiar, because I thought this is really good. And then it's like, oh, okay, it is a Grand Funk cover. But I really like that. I guess, once again, that's got a real good groove to it, I thought. Real good groove. The next track, Won't Drag Me Down, I thought was okay. I didn't really write much about it. Automatic. Okay. That track is very doomy. Once again, it swings. I don't know how to describe this. You got to hear it. It's you can't like this.
Byron,
doom riffs.
Byron, my note on that is swanky stripper pole vibe.
Wow.
And does. It's doomy, but it's like, bow. It's got that vibe to it.
Yep.
Highly unusual.
Much to the chagrin of Martin Popov, it's actually a shuffle. So that's why that's where that
Martin
groove
doesn't
comes
like
in.
shuffles.
It's a heavy shuffle.
But
not
you don't listen to Sabbath kind of like swaying back and forth, but this you're kind of
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that also I wrote that I really thought that had another King's X type chorus to it. You know, a lot of it's the vocals and the Doug's backing vocals too. Okay, Candy Andy Jane, I thought was really good. Real fast rocker with some real aggressive guitar soloing in it. Love, I just thought was okay. Going Down, here we go. Yeah, Slow Doom, a la Lord of this World at times.
Okay.
When it first starts out, you think Lord of this World, what you hear.
Byron, you got that reference. I put sounds like Alice Cooper's Dead Babies riff.
Oh, right, yeah.
So when I was listening to this album, I'm picking like 4 or 5 songs. I'm thinking, that's close to something very familiar. But okay.
Yeah.
Just chiming in.
I thought that was good. In Morning, the 11th track, it's just about a minute long. It's a nice kind of melodic instrumental, which then leads to the last track, Shadows Light. Okay, I really like this track. It's real mellow, though, and it builds into the solo section, which is really, really powerful and aggressive. I can't tell you what this reminds me of, but it sounds like something I know. Anybody come up with anything?
I had a few of those I couldn't put my finger on. Yeah.
I read a review today, and I think it was based on maybe maybe it was part of the liner notes or a review with the repressing of this thing, and someone compared it to a Pink Floyd track, and I was like, oh, now it made sense to me. They didn't. I don't know which Pink Floyd track, but it was very Pink Floyd-esque.
I think I was. Yeah, I can't put my finger on it either, but I'm gonna go back tonight and.
Byron, go back into the lab tonight and put it on and dissect it and let us know what you find out.
I'll put it in the comments if I come up with it.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's just a real mellow, and it's had these shimmering guitars in the verses. But like I said, it hits that solo, and they just crank up the distortion, and the guitar just soars on that solo. Oh, it's incredible. So, yeah, that sums it up for me. I'm gonna give it. There's a couple songs I didn't think were that great, but I'm going to go 8.5.
Wow. Wow. Excellent. Got a 10 and an 8.5. Man, this is looking good, gentlemen. All right. Thanks, Byron. Appreciate it. Yeah, go back and let us know if you figure that out, what that is. Put it in the comments. Do you guys dig KXM?
I've heard of them, but I've never heard of them.
I don't know what that is.
I don't know that.
Everybody likes them. Okay. But this is better, though. Okay. Lynch is such a badass. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, we'll keep going. All right. Let's throw it over to a DC Tune Time, who just got off of his vaudeville show.
So I'm really gearing up here for some of this hard rock / metal kind of thingy.
Yes.
But anyway, of the one and done albums that we've covered so far, this is my favorite, and this, along with Briggs, is a purchase worthy one and done. I had heard about this album when it came out. Of course, I've been a King's X fan for quite a while, but it got backburnered and I completely forgot about it. Lo and behold, we're going to do this show. I went on YouTube and started listening to tracks, and it's like, holy crap, this is outstanding. And then also, how could I go wrong with this having a Grand Funk Railroad cover on it? Oh my God. And the funny thing about that is I was reading, they brought in a keyboard player to do this cover version. And he said, you know what, why don't you guys just cover the keyboard parts with guitars? And it works. It's got that spacey kind of feel to it. And it's really a great cover tune. I mean, I have to say, right out of the box, the first 3, 4, 5 songs here, all top shelf, all 10s. What I had mentioned before, as I'm listening to this thing, I'm referencing songs before, older songs that the riffs are kind of similar, not the same, of course. We mentioned Take Me Away and Rat Bat Blue, and then going down, that opening riff is very much like Dead Babies from Alice Cooper. But there's 12 tracks here, 11 because one's like a minute long kind of instrumental interlude. I rate all 11 songs really, really high. It's kind of got a Sabbathy vibe to some of them, a little bit heavier maybe than your usual fare from King's X, but I think it's pretty much in the King's X pocket. Mm-hmm. And as Nick was saying, if this was a King's X album proper, it'd be up there in top 5, maybe top 3. I've only listened to this 3 times, all from beginning to end, and I'm incredibly impressed and incredibly saddened that they didn't do a follow-up because it's been over 20 years now. I think everybody covered just about the little nuances or whatever I wanted to say about the particular song, so I'll get to my rating. And having only listened to this 3 times, I could give it a 9. I like to have it live with an album for a little while before I get all out of control with my ratings. I'll go in between Byron and Nick, and I'm going to give this an 8.75. And with repeated listenings, this could easily get up to 9 and beyond. I mean, this is 3 listenings, folks. So for a record to hit me that way and get that higher rating right out of the box, it's kind of rare for me. Yeah. So I would give it an 8.75.
Marlon is shocked.
9. Yeah, I know Marlon was giving me shit. Marlon, if you pay attention to my picks, I love everything from the Carpenters and Bread to Sabbath and Led Zeppelin. It's a big mix.
Marlon just has you stereotyped.
He's got me and Schnee. Well, maybe Schnee's more of a pure pop guy, but I'm all over the place.
Schnee wouldn't be looking at Supershine. But we did. And I did. And I don't think I can talk any more about it than what everyone already has here. I think if you like King's X, I think there's a lot here to offer because it still is in that framework of King's X, but it's heavy. It's not as, I don't want to use the word orchestrated, but a lot of that King's X stuff is a little bit more embellished, more grandiose to some degree. This is a lot more stripped down. Think Black Sabbath, but you still have those type of King's X harmonies.
Good point.
On here, but it's a lot more stripped down, much more Sabbath-like. The guitars freaking just kill on this record. And of course, Doug's bass playing is great. His vocals are great. Production is great. I think didn't he record and mix this?
He did.
Yeah, so it's still very much a King's X type of effort. I'm going to go with DC in fact that I think this is probably the best album along with Riggs that we have ever looked at on the One and Done show. That Riggs album, I hope people have went out and tried that Riggs record because it has a lot to offer.
Both of these are worth your hard-earned cash, folks.
Yes, this is a great record.
Despite what people may think about my overall musical taste, all 4 of us feel very strongly here. This and Riggs, well worth your money.
Yeah, that's an excellent point.
Yeah. But this is what's fun about the One and Done series, because we're looking at those one record releases from a band or an artist. And why they never produced anything else, I don't know. I wish they would, because there's magic on this record.
I got to check out Trouble.
I'm going to have to check out Trouble.
I got to check out Trouble, too.
Well, there's a sweet spot that I find with Trouble. It's like it's this, I could run back and get them the names. Self-Titled, which is the one with Rick Rubin, and then they did one called Manic Frustration, and a few others after that. To me, is a sweet spot for them. They're very good, very good. If you like Doom and Sabbath and riffs galore, some more harmony stuff with the 2 guitar players. But you mentioned the harmonies, Grant. I like that. Sometimes with King's X, it's one of the things that sort of I don't know. I fell off the bandwagon a bit, but sometimes the harmonies are way over the top. It's like they bludgeon you to death with. I'm like, I get it, guys. You can sing. You know your harmonies, but it's too much. So these are stripped down. It's a little more raw. Like I get the impression these guys like actually played in the studio together. You know,
That's funny what Nick says, because that's just the opposite of me.
Okay.
Oh, the harmony vocals lay those suckers. Yeah, we know you guys love the Beatles. Bring it, bring it.
Right.
It's just funny how, because on the one song, Love, I mentioned I would have liked to have that response harmony vocal a little more pronounced. But what Nick says is right. Their approach is different here. You're not going to get you're not going to get pummeled in the face by the harmony vocals.
Right.
It's going to be laid back a little bit.
Yeah. So if you like harmonies, they are here, but they're not overblown.
right.
So you might dig that more.
Is my old age getting to me, or did we actually do Hughes Thrall as a one and done? Or was I not with the program then?
You were on that, I'm pretty sure.
Well, then
I'm pretty sure you were on it.
I'm a big time. I'm getting with Dementia Cat right in line with him, because that would be my number one and done album. That's a 10 plus. But these two that we mentioned are right behind.
They're right behind. So what would I give this? Oh, this is so. I think I would be happy. I think I always kind of rate things low. God, I don't want to go too low. I'd like it quite a bit. You know, do I like it more than Faith, Hope, Love? I don't know. I think I can give this a solid 8. I mean, I'm the lowest everybody here, but I think an 8 I'm comfortable with. You know, I love it. I think. What did I give Riggs? Do you remember what I gave Riggs?
I think you may have been a little bit higher with Riggs, Grant. That's okay. It's how. I don't know.
I'm going to give it. I feel like an 8. I feel comfortable with an 8.
Yeah, you got to go how you go. With repeated listenings, I think this one will go higher with me. But
yeah,
I gotta simmer down.
Take a step back, DC.
Simmer down.
Don't get too worked up. So let's tally it. Okay, so people in the chat, now is your time. If you've heard this album by Supershine, we want Christian. Wait a minute, don't go yet.
Your score.
We need your score out of 10. I need a score before you go to bed. Don't get, for God's sakes, Christian. God, man. No, he can't go. We need a score. Oh, 8.5.
There he goes. Thank you,
All right,
sir.
we got an 8.5. All right, now you can go to bed.
Good night, Christian.
Good night, Christian. Thanks for your
Anybody
score.
else knows this album?
We need your score. We're good.
Crickets.
Yeah. Anybody else that knows? 9.
Oh, we got 9.
We got a 9 from Nathan.
Nathan
All right,
gives it a
excellent.
9.
Okay.
And
We got a 9 from. All right, read them out. Okay, we got Jason gave us a 9.
Yep.
All right, got another 9. So far, this is looking really great. Ashley doesn't know this record. Gary Joyce, an 8. I mean, a 9.
9.
John, we've got another 9.
Oh.
Holy crap.
It's like we're in Germany. 9, 9, 9.
New people tonight, too.
Peter M. Fitzpatrick, he's a Tampa resident. All right. Nice to have
Peter.
you.
Yeah,
Hey,
John
anybody
Bull's
else have
really
anybody else? Who is this Ernesto guy? I don't know who he is. Anybody know him?
Yeah, me and Ernesto are on the same wavelength with that Hughes Straw. Thanks for
He
bringing
used to
that
come
up,
on here
Ernesto.
once in a while, a long time ago.
Yeah, he's like one of the people that used to come on this show that doesn't come on anymore.
Yeah, like
Hope he has a nice life.
Ryan and a few other
Marlon.
people.
Marlon goes a 9.15. Okay.
Just to play with you in your math.
I need $14.99. My pillow.
You got some new people watching tonight.
What the hell is that?
Just throwing out some numbers for y'all.
Is that really I don't know how I could interpret that.
I think he's those My Pillows are on sale or something. $14.99.
Well, thanks, Seth. That's awesome. Gary, I don't know who this Ernesto guy is.
His name is Seth Rogaine.
All right, everybody. So Seth Rogen, do you know this album, or you just pushing my pillows?
I should probably know him.
You know him? Oh, jeez. I should know him.
Ew.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Let's calculate everything. I guess everybody's came in. We've got. Well, I'm not going to read through them. We got a whole bunch. The average might be the highest we've ever gotten on a one and done. Oh, we've got an 8.89.
That's pretty strong.
That's probably the strongest we've ever had.
That kills me that it took me 20 years to come full circle and have this album presented to me as something I might really like.
Well,
'Cause
this and Riggs.
it just went off my radar.
It was off my radar until Nick brought it up. I never even thought about it. And Riggs, again, another record. How did that go? And Aviary. We never did Aviary because they have more than one record, but just saying, that's another album I can't believe I never ever heard. And The Hunt. That The Hunt. We got to mention The Hunt. So there you go, everybody. We've got a 8.89. I'd say this is definitely an album you need to go out and check out. This is a certified.
And that's, Nick saying that it never left his vehicle. That's a true test for an album. If you just throw something in your, when you had CD players in the car, and it just never seems to leave that rotation, that's a true test right there.
Marlon, yeah, he did give Riggs a 9. Yeah. And Gary's right. 8.89 is no slouch. So,
not at all.
If you want to get turned on a band, you haven't heard it, please go out and check this out. We highly recommend it. And the panel, the Peanut Gallery recommends it as well. So, all right. Anybody else have anything to discuss before we wind this episode up? This is a pretty quick episode. Half hour. Why not? We can get in, we can get out. Covered all the bases. Next month, I don't know who's going to be interested, but next month we will be doing the Benjamin Orr solo album, the one and only solo album from Ben Orr. So that'll be next month. I do know that. Sometimes I don't know what we're going to do, but now I do.
I think we should think about the Mob. That's another Dug Pinnick one and done. Since we seem to do themes once in a while. Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Is that a one and done?
It's a one and done.
Well, we can look at the.
And then don't forget Jughead.
Jughead, yeah, that's another one. They one and done?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
These guys are always doing these one and done things in King's X.
King's X one and dones.
All right, maybe we'll look at more of those. So, but Rand and I are going through the King's X catalog right now, so that might take a while. So,
Not like
all right, everybody, I want to thank.
catalog.
Have you guys listened to the School of Hard Knocks by Pat Travers yet?
Yeah,
got Riggs all over it.
Yeah.
I don't have it.
I have it. It's good.
Believe it or not, Marlon, I have that album.
That album's really solid.
Sure
Really?
is.
Late Pat
For
Travers.
latter period, Pat. Sure.
Middle period now.
Yeah, yeah. Time gets away from old DC.
I'll tell you, man, I was so busy at work today. God, I barely had time to get anything together. Good
Thank you,
show.
Ernesto.
Thanks, Ernesto. Appreciate it. All right, everybody. Let's, hey, if we can do a show in a half an hour, that's a win-win. All right, everybody. Have a good week. Tomorrow's Wednesday. The Contrarians live chat will be going at 7:00. I can't remember what we're doing. Some kind of doppelganger show. I can't remember. I haven't even started it.
Grant, don't you want to remind our listeners that we're going to be rating the albums of Norwegian crooner Sveti? Including his live album, It's Getting Sveti in Here.
Jesus.
That happened because Grant posted a list from a record store. It said, do not buy albums from these artists. And
Yeah, the do not buy list.
Yeah, someone meant to put Suede and they put a V instead of a U. So we got Sveti, the Norwegian crooner.
Wonder if I can do not buy records.
Yeah, do not buy records from these artists. We can't get rid of them.
I
Sveti.
posted that. There's the list right there.
When is the next Grand Funk episode?
DC, when's the next Grand
It's
Funk?
October 2nd, which is a Wednesday, I believe. We'll be doing those 2 80s albums. And then we have the 2 other live albums, and then that'll be it for Grand Funk.
We went through the whole catalog.
Yep.
So
I got a backhanded compliment from Marlon. Great show, guys. DC, nice job tonight. For a change. Why you?
Boy, oh boy, Marlon's out to get you.
Why you?
Hey, Gary, thanks, everybody. I appreciate everybody for coming in. Great show. Thanks for shedding light on this excellent, great album. All right. All right, everybody, have a good week. We'll see you on the live show in the Contrarians tomorrow night. All right, everybody. See you. Thanks.
Good night, all.